First and foremost, before we get started, I like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekah Kwadash, and double honors to those great millstone, while learned his truth, and also to those elect that scattered abroad. I like to say, Shalom. Come back here today with another great, powerful lesson, the spirit and the power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And the type D lesson is news and prophecy. 3 Russian fighter jets enter Estonia airspace. So I'd like to say shalom to all our listeners and learners. Hope to sweep you today and guide you back in the path of righteousness and back to your true power, which in fact is Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. So before we start today, let's have one quick news article here by the New York Times. And it reads that Russian fighter jets enter airspace of Estonia, a NATO member. Let's get a little bit more. It says here 3 Russian fighter jets violated Estonia airspace on Friday for an unusually long period, some 12 minutes, in what Estonia foreign minister called an unprecedentedly brazen intrusion over the NATO country. NATO responded to intercept the Russian jets, said Alison Hart, the military alliance spokeswoman, said in a statement on X. This is yet another example of reckless Russian behavior and NATO ability to respond, she said. So early on Saturday, the Russian Ministry of Defense said in a post on Telegram that Russia did not violate Estonian airspace and that the jets had acted in compliance with international regulations. Tensions were already high after at least 21 Russian drones flew in Polish airspace 10 days ago, prompting NATO to scramble fighter jets to shoot down some of them. That incursion was regarded by Polish officials who provided an update count of the drones as a deliberate effort to test the alliance readiness and a dangerous escalation of the war in Ukraine. So we seeing right here that we're seeing that Russia right now is pushing the limits. They're constantly flexing their muscles. So we already know, what happened in Poland, about these drones that went into their airspace. I think it was Article 4. They wanted to discuss what they wanted to do, and also we know that Poland, and also we know that Estonia is a NATO member. So we already know that things are pretty much on shaky ground, but we already know that that Russia right now is pretty much want to further their territory, put it like that. And also we knowing that tension is rising between Israel and Iran, but we knowing at some point NATO is going to join Russia at some point. So it's already been prophesied. So we're seeing these things are constantly picking up. Tensions are rising left and right. And also we knowing that, World War III is on the horizon. We constantly seeing these things left and right. So last week, we seen that Russia went into NATO territory. Then now they going back into it once again, but they saying now that they didn't violate the international regulations. But we seeing here now that at any given time that something, any wrong calculation could set things off. Right now we know that we pretty much are at the boiling point. So we know that all these nations are preparing for war. So that's what we're constantly seeing left and right. And also in the news, it's already saying that it was rumors that America is in a recession right now. So we already knowing about the job market, high is on the decline. We're seeing a lot of people unemployed. We're seeing a lot of these major companies are closing down. Also, we knowing that what AI is taking over. So a lot of things is happening. These world events around the world. So things are constantly happening. We know about these tabs are constantly picking up. So it's a lot of tension around the world right now. Right over here in Russia. In Russia right now really is really not giving a damn. So the Lord is constantly putting the hooks in Russia's jaw. And also we know that Russia is going to be a guard to these nations against America and also Israel. So we coming upon this time. So we seeing the beginning of sorrow. We seeing right now the men of the Lord. We constantly been warning you about these things. We seeing that right now. The second war was past, but the third will come quickly. So right now, Estonia, another NATO member. So we gonna see what become of this. We already knowing that if you hit one NATO member, you hit them all. So I think it's called Article 5. So we seeing right now the tensions are rising left and right. So these things are constantly picking up three fighter jets. So we don't know if they are preparing for something, but we're gonna constantly measure the time diligently, and also we're constantly hearing rumors that China is getting ready to invade Taiwan. So many things is going on. That's why we got to be locked in, watching. We got to constantly, have a stable mind. We got to constantly, constantly to study to show ourselves approved. Also study these scriptures so we can see how things are lining up. We come in these times, man. We think we are here, man. These things are right before our eyes. So this is very right here. It's very significant right here. This right here could have jumped off of this into something else. So we know that we're very close. So a lot of things right now is pretty shaky right now. And also, we're constantly hearing these rumors of these earthquakes. I think it was one off of Russia, the coast of Russia. If I'm not, I can't think what it was Kamachaka. I think it's some name like that. But it also is knowing there's a lot of tsunami watch on the west coast of the northwest over there around I think Seattle or Oregon over that way. But anyway, we know that we constantly seeing these things are constantly lining up. So one thing behind another. But right here, this Russian fighter jet enter airspace of Estonia, another NATO member. So we're going to constantly watch this because this could jump off and pop off into something else. We already knowing that if this constantly escalate, we knowing that America will be involved, and also we knowing that Israel will be involved, but we knowing how that outcome would turn out. So it's rumors of wars all over the place. So I just had this one little news deal. I just want to show you that. Could have read a little bit more of it, but you can go back and look at it. But we're seeing right now that these things are lining up. What I'm saying? The war drums are constantly beating. And also, the major players are on the scene when you go to Ezekiel chapter 38. So let's get this quick precept. Not a long lesson. I got two little quick short videos. And once again, I hope that you will get edified. I said here, Revelation chapter 11, verse 14 said, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe come quickly. So that's where we're at right now. We know that woe goes in to destruction. Now that we know about the second woe has passed, talking about World War II. Now the third woe come quickly, the last and final war right before the great and glorious return of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. So our salvation is very close at hand. So we've seen these things are lining up just like clockwork. That's why we got to measure the time diligently. Always be watching, being circumspect, redeem the time wisely, because at any given time you can be at work. Right now I'm at home, you can be asleep, and all of a sudden you wake up, it's World War III. It can happen just like that. We see that time is constantly accelerating. Man, we living in some very exciting time. Let's read this once again. Revelation chapter 11, verse 14 said, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe come quickly. So we're very close, to this, the war to end all wars, World War III. We're very close, man. So let's get one more. Let's go here to Jeremiah. And then I'll tell you what, we'll start today's video. Then we'll go to Jeremiah. My way go and get these videos out of the way. So I'm going to start the video. And after the video, we'll start the lesson. I hope that you will get edified.
Estonia's government says 3 Russian military jets entered NATO airspace without permission on Friday morning and stayed there for nearly 12 minutes. In a statement on X, a NATO spokesman said NATO responded immediately and intercepted the Russian jets which had violated Estonian airspace, adding this is yet another example of reckless Russian behavior and NATO's ability to respond. The foreign minister of Estonia said the incident was the most brazen violation yet of its airspace and the 4th this year.
U.S. Air Force Colonel Cedric Layton. Colonel, thanks very much for joining us. So what's your analysis on Poland and now Estonia, 2 NATO allies? And as we all know, if Russia is involved in engaging militarily against NATO allies, this isn't just against Poland and Estonia, but all NATO allies potentially could be involved.
Yes, absolutely, and that's where the Article 5-like provisions come into play, Wolf. So when you look at the Polish example with those 19 drones, as Katie Bowe was just talking about, I would put the odds actually at more 70-30 or 60-40 that the Russians did this intentionally. Now, it is absolutely possible that there was jamming involved, and the way to determine that is whether or not Ukrainian jamming efforts were underway at that particular moment in time, or even Polish jamming efforts. So if there was nothing like that going on at that time, then you can pretty much determine that this was an intentional effort. When it comes to the Estonian situation with 3 fighter jets, that is an obvious offensive play by the Russians. What they're doing is they're testing the air defenses of the Estonians. They're looking at the way in which the Estonians would respond to an incursion, and the fact that they stayed in Estonian airspace for 12 minutes. That's a very long time, relatively speaking. Small country, doesn't take long to fly from one end to the other in a fighter jet. They would be doing this intentionally to determine what the Estonians have and how they would deploy it.
So now let's start today's lesson. You're seeing right now that we're very close, very, very close. Let's go here. Let's go here to Jeremiah chapter 28. Let's get this right quick. We'll probably get 2 more and we'll close out. And so now we know that these things right now can take place. You know, we see that Russia is constantly flexing their muscle. You know, we don't know if they're testing out something or getting prepared to go into Poland or Estonia. But we gonna measure the time diligently. You know, that's what we're doing. You know, we watching all the signs, the prophecies they're speaking right now. Jeremiah chapter 28 and verse 8. It said, the prophet that had been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries, against great kingdoms, of war and of evil and of pestilence. So that's what we constantly prophesying about. We're telling you about, you know what I'm saying, about war. We're telling you about nations arising against nations. We're telling you about that ill time, that evil time. Jacob Trout, also we're telling you about these pestilence, these outbreaks, these disease. You know, these things are coming upon us left and right. And also we know that the spirit of the prophet is subject to the prophet. The men of the Lord are constantly prophesying left and right in the highways and byways, making these video epistles, constantly warning you about all these impending dangers. So let's read in NLT. It said, the ancient prophets who preceded you said, and me spoke against many nations, always warning of war, disaster, and disease. That's exactly what we constantly warning you about. We're telling you, this little NATO thing right here, we seeing that they constantly, bucking up against one another. This could escalate into a bigger, a broader war, which in fact is what World War III. Let's drop down to verse 9. It said, the prophet which prophesied of peace, when the word of the prophet shall come to pass, then shall the prophet be known that the Lord had truly sent him. So when these prophecies start speaking, and right now we know that they're speaking right now, we're seeing that the signs of times are here, that then they shall know that a prophet was among them. So right now, you're gonna be in for a rude awakening. So let's go here. Matthew chapter Let's go to Matthew chapter 24. We're going to go straight to the point. Matthew chapter 24 and verse 6. Matthew chapter 24 and verse 6. And it reads, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of war. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Verse 7 said, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. Verse 8, all these are the beginning of sorrow. So right here, we seeing all these different rumors of wars. We seeing, earthquakes in diverse nation rising against nation, and we seeing nation rising against nation. We seeing all these things that happen, but the end is not yet. All these are the beginning of sorrow. The birth pain. That's what we constantly seeing left and right, constantly increasing left and right. So we know right now that at any given time, while you're sleeping, while you're not aware, right now you really got to have your head on the swivel right now, because we got to redeem the time. Why be circumspect? Cause right now, we could we could just wake up and it's boom, it's here. So but it's right before our eyes right now. But what we're seeing, and a prudent man foresees the evil. Also, we seeing that a lot of things are happening around the world. Sedition. We seeing people constantly being. I put it in a way like, I'm trying to figure out the right word. Got to be careful what we say. We're already knowing about that Jimmy Kimmel deal. What happened with him? He mentioned he spoke on a CK, and all of a sudden now I think he got fired or suspended or whatever like that. So we're gonna constantly see more things like that. Famine of the word. These things are constantly happening. These prophets are speaking loud and clear. Lord, sort of watch me. So we coming upon that time. So we know eventually that the Lord is going to bring it to a close and bring forth that judgment like we have never seen before. So all these are the beginning of sorrow, the birth pain. We seeing that we're here, man. We are here. Let's go to this last and final. Didn't really have too much tonight. I don't want to be rambling too much tonight, but it just through the spirit things that I'm seeing. But just like I said, man, we asking the Lord, how long, oh Lord? We ready to get the hell out of here, man. We so sick and tired of this, man. We ready for this devil to come on down and bring that great wrath, so the Lord can bring his wrath. 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 7 said, but the end of all things is at hand. Say, be ye therefore sober and watch unto prayer. So right now we know the end of all things are at hand. The end of what? Of this age, this earth age. You know what I'm saying? We're in a transition of power right now. So we know that we're very close. That's why we got to have a stable mind, sober mind, watchful. Be very watchful. Pray without ceasing, because we here, man. So we know that Esau is the end of this earth age right now, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. So we seeing that transition of power is happening right before our eye. We seeing this earth age is slowly fading away. And one thing about it, we seeing that the vibration is changing. We seeing that right now that the war drums are beating. We seeing that the prophecies are speaking loud and clear. And also we knowing that the prophets right now constantly warning you. You know what I'm saying? Warning you before the door of repentance closed. That our salvation is at the door. These one thing behind another. Also is rumors. I think I might have said it earlier in the lesson, but I don't know. But I say it again. That it's already saying there's rumors that America is already in a recession. You're seeing that a lot of things are happening. Great economic collapse. A lot of sown places are going to be unsown. These things that happen. The Lord is breaking the staff of bread. Necessity, your way of life. A lot of these things are coming down the pipeline. So we seeing right now over there, Russia is constantly, is flexing their muscle with Poland and also with Estonia. They still trying to figure out, why is this happening? Why is that happening? We know why it is happening. The Lord is moving the chess pieces around, for what the controversy of Zion. So we're seeing right now that, it's the end of all things is at hand. But said, be ye therefore sober and watch unto prayer. So we got to be constantly watching, praying, have a stable mind. And when these things come upon us, we're gonna be stable, because we trust and believe in Yahweh, Ba'ashim Abishai. And also, you're gonna have to have faith like you have never had faith before, because we are so very close, and we are very excited because we know that we are very close to the kingdom of heaven that dwells in righteousness. So the title of today's lesson, once again, is News and Prophecy. 3 Russian fighter jets enter Estonia airspace. So I'd like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekah Kwadash. I like to say, Shalom, Shalom.